Okay, so what we're gonna do now is try to figure out exactly why the computer is not logging this information, and we have a feeling it might have something to do with a program installed on his laptop where it's preventing it to write information to the ROM data or something like that because of the vibrations in the cabin. ROM, I meant
hard drive.
Hard drive safety first.
Hey, today we're going to be doing some data logging with Maestro 7 tuning software. The vehicle we're going to be doing this on is a 2010 Jetta 2.0 TSI, and this applies to the GTIs as well. We're running a Eurodyne Stage 2 tune with 94 octane fuel in the tank. And we're going to be putting our logs into Virtual Dyno to estimate wheel horsepower.
Once we have the logs inputted into Virtual Dyno, it's going to give us an estimation as to how much power is being put down at the front wheels. We're going to go over all the different correction factors and stuff like that in the program, and the importance of inputting the correct factors such as ambient air temperature, what gear you're in, the weight of the vehicle, all that kind of good stuff for a more accurate outcome. Yeah, we'll talk about the different correction factors which are used in Virtual Dyno. Usually the lower the correction factor, the lower the number, the horsepower reading and the torque reading, and the higher the number, the opposite is what applies. But
no, we got this. Okay.
We just
okay. We're also going to be doing these logs in 3rd gear. 4th gear will get you more data points and a more accurate estimate, but we don't have a long enough stretch of road, and we're going to be doing this safely on a closed road. All right, let's start.
Okay, so here we are with our laptop opened. We're going to open up Eurodyne Flash now. Yes, I would like to run.
Get ECU info.
Successfully retrieved ECU info. Let's go back up to other functions, and we're going to go to the Maestro Logger. Alright, so we got this beautiful gauge cluster that just appeared, but that's kind of hard to read, so we're going to go to text view. Perfect. We got a lot of different PIDs here, a lot of different parameters. We're going to change the air mass units to grams per second. Air to fuel units, AFR. Boost pressure to PSI. Now we're all ready, so all I got to do is hit start at the bottom left here.
All right, I'm going to get into 3rd gear.
So Julian's going to get into 3rd gear. We're going to press start. And we're going to start the log from 2,500 RPM all the way to redline.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so he's in 3rd. I'm going to click start right now. Logging to CSV. Here we go. And slow down. That was fast. Now all I gotta do is press stop logging. And now we're gonna review the data log and input it into Virtual Dyno. See how much power it's putting down.
Okay, so we have Virtual Dyno installed. There's a link in the description for the download page. What we're gonna do now is open it up, and we're gonna load our data log into Virtual Dyno.
The first thing we're gonna do is go to File, Load Runs, and click on the data log that we want to import. You'll notice this box pops up, top left corner. So we're going to select the car we have. In our case, if we go to Volkswagen down here and select Jetta, our particular vehicle doesn't come up in the system. So we're going to have to customize our vehicle by going to File, File here, go to Car Editor, and basically just input the make, model, submodel, year, all that kind of stuff. There's all these different parameters like weight, drag coefficient, frontal area. The more accurate you are with these specs, the more accurate your results will be when it comes to horsepower and torque. If you have a 2010 Volkswagen Jetta 2.0 TSI, like we have, these are the specs. We got all the gear ratios in there, the final gear. Please note that the final gear does change when you're using 5th and 6th gears, a little bit different. Since we're only logging in 3rd and 4th, 3.94 is our final drive. We've tried to be as accurate as we possibly could by using the correct curb weight, drag coefficient, frontal area, and obviously the tire diameter is going to vary based on what kind of rims and tires you have on there, so we can edit that later on. So now you just save that as custom. Alright, so we're going to select our car now. This is the one that we customized. We're going to select tire height, and we're going to input our tire and rim values. 205, 55, R16. These are winter rims and tires. The car's weight is already inputted. Occupancy weight between Julian and I comes to about 340 pounds. Final drive's already inputted. For the barometric pressure and air temperature, we need to select the SAE checkbox to make changes to these values. For barometric pressure, we went onto Google and looked up the weather report for our area at that particular time, and we found that the barometric pressure at that time came to be 30.386 inches of mercury. So we're going to put 30.386 inches of mercury in there. For the air temperature, you would simply look at your data log and see what the intake temperature was and use that as a value. You may have to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit to get that information, and we found it to be 50.9 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to select the gear. We did it in 3rd gear, and there you go. We're making 270 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 312 horsepower at 4,380 RPM. Now, the smoothing on the top right has been set to 1. You can set it to 2, 3, all the way up to 6. If you set it to 0, it's the most raw data. So it's not as smooth, it kind of looks, you can kind of notice divots in the road and all that kind of stuff. So once it starts to get smooth, you can kind of say we're good with that. So when we select 1, it gives us a pretty smooth graph. And you know what, we're satisfied with that. At the top here, you'll see custom correction factor is 1.01. So different dynos are going to use different correction factors to give you different results. In our case, we use 1.01 because it seems to be accurate with a front-wheel drive platform. So there you have it. You can see the boost down here. It hits about 19 psi, and then it tapers down to about 11 psi by the end of the rev range. Julian's currently on the KO3, so it's a really small turbo. It does taper off quite fast. But as soon as he gets the bigger turbo, F23T on the way, oh, that thing's going to be making over 360 horsepower if we really push it, no?
Yeah, but it's not really on the way. It's a far future type of mod.
Well, not necessarily, because I'm getting the B&R S4 shortly, and I think that's going to push you over the edge, and you're definitely going to want to be as powerful as me.
Well, I guess that's something to stay tuned for.
Yep, should be a good time. If we change the correction factor by going to File here, we would go to Options, click on Dyno. As you can see, we have it set to 1.01, and the custom checkbox is checked off. If we click on it, we can select different dynos. You have your DynoJet, you have your Mustang dyno, and Virtual Dyno of 1. So basically these different correction factors are going to give you different readings. So if we select DynoJet, it goes to 1.09. We used to have it at 1.01, as you can see up here. And we're going to try DynoJet, and we're going to see what that does. We're going to click Save. So as you can see, with the DynoJet correction factor, we're making a little more power here. We're making 291 horsepower and 336 pound-feet of torque. That's about a 20 horsepower difference as compared to correction factor 1.01. What this tells us is that although there are differences, what you can do is you can select which correction factor you'd like to use for your car and use Virtual Dyno as a tool when you're tuning on the street.
Oh God, please stop.
How are you feeling, man?
What's up?
So what have we learned today?
We've learned that Virtual Dyno is a good tool to compare progress. What we're going to learn now is how to make rice with habaneros. Come on, man. Seriously, let's get serious. What are we doing?